Aaron asks, Mayfair or City Hall, which is your preferred venue? City Hall. City Hall was just, well, upon the fact that I was going to the City Hall when I was a kid, and I started going to Mayfair when I was old enough to get in the Mayfair, but all my first gigs were at the City Hall. Motorhead was at the City Hall. I remember going to the City Hall to see someone or other. It was someone I didn't really like, because you would go to any gig at the City Hall, and the tickets were like £2.50, so you could get a ticket at the back and then just, as soon as the doors open, just push your way into the front, get in the scrum, and security would never find you until maybe something was at the end. You get a little clip on the lug. But sometimes it was sold out. You couldn't get in. So we used to go through the girls' toilets, which meant scaling up. I've been to the City Hall since and I had a look at this, and it's so dangerous. But scaling up the City Hall, going along the roof, which involved a couple of big jumps. And sometimes you'd be getting chased by security. And you get in the skylight of the girls' toilets, which was always open for some reason, presumably because girls' toilets are supposed to smell better than boys' toilets. But I've got so many great memories of being at the Hall. The Mayfair, I've got loads of great memories, but not really as gigs, as the Friday Night Rock Club. Loads of great memories there. But for gigs, City Hall, absolutely. I still have an urge to headline the City Hall. We've done it a few times supporting. And I used to, first thing I'd do was run straight to the balcony where sometimes you'd sit up there and until the show started, and then you'd go to the front. And it was so weird. There's just everything's so small when you get up there. It was weird. But as soon as we got on stage, it was huge again. I will play Newcastle City Hall headlining one day. Soon, hopefully. If you wrote 29 times the pain today, asks Douglas, which bands of the last 20 years would you include? God, there's so many. I made a little list off the top of my head here, and it doesn't even cover how many bands or artists I love in the last 20 years. But my list includes bands like the Great Lake Swimmers, an amazing Canadian band, kind of country but mixed with folk and pop. Great. Mother, and the New Pornographers, both of which, again, Canadian, both live in the same kind of world of experimental pop with dance beats and loads of other things in between. Male-female vocals, again with the Great Lake Swimmers, male-female vocals, something that I really want to start using more now that Carol's in the band. I love male-female vocals, especially, with heavy guitars and crazy arrangements. Love it. So Mother, the New Pornographies would be in there. The Bronx would be in there, and Fucked Up. I've got the Fucked Up written down here as well. And the Bronx and Fucked Up are probably my two favourite punk bands, if you can call either of them punk bands, but they get labelled as punk bands. But definitely have the Bronx and Fucked Up in there because they're just both fantastic bands. I was listening to the Fucked Up today and just so inventive, with this guy just bellowing over the top, tuneless, magnificent yelling. And then this really inventive, almost classical arrangements of songs. So fucking clever. Guided by Voices would definitely be in there. It goes without saying. Such a crazy body of work. They make me look lazy. MGMT would be in there. I fucking love MGMT. When they get it right, oh my God, they get it so fucking right. And is it pronounced MGMT or Management? Someone let me know. Deerhoof would be on there. How do you explain what Deerhoof sound like? I can't describe them. They're like all the weirdest things about music shoved together, and it works. And it's just so odd and off the wall and just addictive. It's a Japanese singer and, boffin approach to music, but not a traditional approach to music or anything that anyone else does. I love them. Deerhoof. Mastodon would be in there. Mastodon, obviously, being the most mighty metal band currently going. And the Beths would be in there, because I fucking love the Beths. From New Zealand, I believe. But, the Beths are just this amazing jazz standard band who write pop songs with the most sweetest girl. And the thing about the Beths is that the singer sounds like she hasn't really got the confidence to sing, but she's got the writing chops of Lennon and McCartney. So the songs are so fucking good with this real, sheepish, innocent voice singing them. Love the Beths. So there's a list of bands that would make my 29 Times the Pain, except it would be not called 29 Times the Pain because I'm not 29 anymore. How does soap get dirty, says Trevor? Because it's got no hands. Andy Dean asks, is it true that Danny puked his guts up after getting Simon Ephraim's turd on his hands? I'll try and explain the background for that question. No, he didn't puke up, but he nearly did. But Danny was fond of puking up everywhere that he went. He's just a puker. He'd be on stage and there would be a fucking bin on all the gigs and he'd puke up in the bin. And I'd be like, why don't you do it in the fucking audience? Why aren't you doing the photo pit? Cover the fucking photographers. But he never would. A very private puker was Danny. But no, we did this photo session for the single of Greetings from Shitsville. Now, Simon Ephraim had something like half a stomach. He had some operation when he was younger, and he could shit on cue. And so the night before, he had a tin of curry, which was apparently the magic elixir to make him shit on cue. And then we had the pita bread with our hands. There was a Bon Jovi album, Keep the Faith, was it? Where the hands are all making this kind of swastika. And we had a pita bread with, Greetings from Shitsville. We figured London, what's London famous for? And dirty meat. We had the hands on this pita bread, and we had a lovely little Japanese lady called Midori Sukagoshi, very famous photographer in Japan, photographing this. And oh my God, the things we used to do. But on cue, 3, 2, 1, boom, he shit all over the pita bread, and some of the shit went onto Danny's hand. And he had a ring that had like a German cross, and the shit filled the German cross on his ring. And he nearly puked, and he was given it a good gip, but nothing came out. So the answer to the question is technically no, but, a lot of us nearly did. It was disgusting, the things that we used to do. Oh, man, what a great fucking time we used to have. Barles asks, would you join the E Street Band if the money was good? I'd join the E Street Band if the money was fucking shit. I joined it for nothing, just to play with that level of musicians, playing those songs, especially the songs from the river. But yeah, I would jump at the chance of playing with the E Street Band. Who wouldn't? My God, I think Bruce Springsteen's the fucking Don. The fact that he's still got so much energy at his age, that's fucking inspirational. Any daft cunt can jump around when they're young. He's still doing it. So yes, I would absolutely join the E Street Band if the money was even shit. Who was Turning American written about? Asks Andy. I've had this question a few times over the years, and the answer is it wasn't written about anyone. It was written about a fictional idea of British bands turning American for commercial value. To be honest, it was just a pissed off song about nothing much in the world. And it wasn't until a few years looking at the song in the distance that I realised how appropriate a lot of the lyrics were, because there was a lot of bands selling the cock and the balls just for a taste of success. And the success never came. And the upshot was they didn't have any cock and balls left. So it wasn't written about anyone, but it turned out that it ended up, applying to a lot of people. But it wasn't written about anyone. It was me in Los Angeles, knowing that I was going to get fired from the choir boys, not getting on with anyone, and just going for a walk by myself around the streets of Los Angeles, which I gather is pretty dangerous. But I fucking loved it. And for some reason, I've always got on in dangerous situations. I like excitement, and I guess I just don't look scared when I'm walking around dangerous parts of town. But I used to walk around and I used to go like, you know what, if I had my own band, this is what they'd sound like. And I had a Metallica riff in there, I had a Cheap Trick chorus, I had a whatever verse, but it was my idea of what I would do if I had my own band. Being quite prophetic in the end, because I didn't realise I was going to get sacked as soon as we landed, pretty much. And I would need some songs from a new band, the first of which was Turning American, which I'd already written in my head in Los Angeles. But yeah, it wasn't really written specifically about anyone. Certainly wasn't written about choir boys, which a lot of people think it was. Absolutely wasn't. Is it true you fell out with Therapy over the riff to their song Stories? Obviously not. I think what people forget is every riff comes from somewhere. There is no such thing as an original riff. Even if it's fucking MC5 who invented a certain style of music, it was inspired by the noise that the car factories made. All riffs come from somewhere. The idea that someone would be upset that someone had got a riff based on something, or even thought that they originated this riff. The idea, the audacity, the ego, the fucking narcissism to think that I invented that, therefore you're not allowed to do anything that, sounds remotely like it. To be honest, I probably ripped the riff off from somewhere as well. So, of course not. It's flattering. I honestly think of it as really flattering if someone does something that might be inspired by me. 9 times out of 10, it was inspired by the bands that I copied. So I don't know where that riff came from originally, but I know that it was probably a record that Andy Cairns was listening to as well. Certainly wasn't anything to do with me. I don't believe that anyone should bow to anyone in this business. We're all just spreading the word of music. It's not about being original, it's about being good. If more people realise that, there'd be better fucking music and everyone wouldn't be trying to reinvent the fucking wheel. I always say to people, if they're going, I'm struggling to write songs, well, why don't you just, I say this to my kids a lot, why don't you just rip off your favourite songs? Think of 10 songs, rip off your favourite 10 songs. By the time, and I don't do this myself, I promise I don't do this myself, but if you're struggling to write songs, copy something. Just copy something. By the time you write it, your band learns it and you perfect it to play on stage and then record, it'll sound fuck all like the original anyway. And if people do accuse you of ripping something off, it's probably something that you've never heard that listen to the same fucking records as you. So yeah, there is no originality. There shouldn't be any originality. I remember Olivia Rodrigo writing a song and all of the corporate fucking wankers were saying, oh, it's ripped off Pump It Up by Elvis Costello. And they wanted to take her straight to court, ruin her career, ruin her chances of ever getting any credibility again. And Elvis Costello called the fucking dogs off and said, it's music. All she's doing is, wherever she got it from, it's just passing on the baton from music. What Elvis Costello probably meant was he ripped it off Subterranean Homesick Blues by Bob Dylan. There is no originality. There shouldn't be any originality. There's just cunts who think that they invented the chords that they play. Wankers. And if you know any of these wankers who do sue people for doing something similar to them, stop buying their fucking records because they're cunts. Here we have Sean Roach is asking, I was wondering what the chances are of reissuing the Wildheart's back catalogue on vinyl. You find me at a day where I just can't stand the music industry. Not music, and not you, and not the people I play music with, but the industry. The machinations, the workings, the fucking cogs that go behind the scene. 9 times out of 10, those cogs are fucking bullshit. It's just a bunch of people trying to fucking palm off the responsibility onto someone else. I can't stand the music industry. Do I want to convince anyone to do anything regarding releasing anything? No. All I want to do is write the music, practice it with the people that I love, and then go into the studio with more people that I love and record it. That's all I want to do. The rest of it, couldn't give a fuck right now. Sometimes I care, but today, really couldn't give a fuck. It's just a load of bullshit as far as I'm concerned, with a bunch of people who are just fucking fluffing their own fucking egos or trying to pass the buck. None of which I've got any time for at the best of times, but today I would like to fucking lynch them aboard a fucking 747 and fly them off somewhere where there's no oxygen. A little bit extreme. I have another question too, says Sean Roach. I think you should participate in Record Store Day every year, whether it was the Wildhearts or Ginger. That leads us to part one of the question. I'd have to get involved in people that actually make records happen. All I want to do is record them. If they want to release them, fine. If they don't want to release them, fine. If they want to do Record Store Day because they care, fine. Hello, Nico from Italy here. Hello, Nico. You said today, so I will. This sounds meaty. What's exactly behind the last demise of the band in 2021? Was there a fight or an argument backstage, or was it all about money? No. There was no fight backstage. Me and Seiji had an argument backstage that involved a little bit of a cuddle on the couch, but no fists thrown as far as I'm concerned. If there's no fists thrown, it's not a fight. It's a row. Was it all about money? In some people's eyes, I think it is about money, but I think their whole problem is they just don't want to progress beyond the past or something that's fucked them up in the past. No, it wasn't about money and it wasn't about arguments backstage. It was about people in relationships that grow at different speeds. Look at a plant and there's some bits that fall off the plant because it doesn't want to be a fucking flower. It doesn't kill the plant. It just, some bits fall off and end up on the floor and you stick them in the bin. Now, I'm not saying people end up on the floor and stick them in the bin, but some people probably are destined not to carry on doing music. Not everybody gets in a band for music. That's the thing that people forget. It's like when relationships don't work, a marriage doesn't work, and people go like, well, whose fault was it? It wasn't anyone's fault. Nothing has to be someone's fault. Some things just grow different. You know, people do naturally grow different. If you get 4 people in a group, it's weirder that they would get on than not get on. You know, you see some bands that are still fucking friends with each other. I'm like, fair play. That is hard to do. See some relationships, some marriages that are still going. And, you know, fucking, that's a lot of hard. That's tough love. Most marriages end up in divorce. Most bands fall apart because one guy wants to do this and one guy wants to fucking hang out and buy things and take drugs and whatever. Fine. Hang out, buy things, take drugs. But it's not going to gel with the guy for whom music is the only reason why they do a band. The only reason why I got in a band in the first place, I didn't want my cock sucked, didn't want to be rich. I wanted to make music. I was making music a long time before I earned a penny, or certainly got any female attention. All I ever wanted to do was write songs and play them. Maybe there was a slight inkling that I might play them and someone might like them, but even that wasn't the impetus to write songs. My only reason for doing this was the music. If I'm involved with someone else and they're not writing songs or they're not contributing to the songs, chances are we're not going to end up getting on 20, 30 years down the line. A lot of the reason why I kept the band together is because I had this weird loyalty to the idea of a band of brothers, to the point where I would be like, you know, can we all kind of just act like a band? I know we're not speaking, but can we all get together and can we all wear bike jackets so it looks like a group? That was my idea of this romantic idea that a band of brothers is going to sell. It's exciting. And right now, I don't find it exciting. I find it fucking exhausting. I find anyone who thinks that bands all get on and live in the same house and wipe each other's arses, he's fucking probably get a few problems in their life and grow up a little, because it's fucking ridiculous. When bands fall out and people take sides, that's when I get fucking annoyed. Because I've seen people do that in relationships. 2 people break up and they blame the guy or the girl, or the fucking guy if there's 2 guys. It's no one's fault. Things change. They're supposed to change. Things are supposed to blossom and change. It happens in nature. Life is no different. It's blossoming and it's changing all the time. It's called evolution, and people should evolve if they're going to make music. Otherwise, they make shit music and they con the fucking fans into thinking it's good music. I'm not conning you in any way. I fucking love writing songs. I love playing songs. I love you loving the songs. That's it. If fucking 10 of you buy it, I'm happy. If you 10 get in touch with me, I'm fucking ecstatic. If I'm in a band with someone and they don't want to fucking contribute, I'll do it because I write songs. I'll write the fucking album. You don't have to get out of your fucking bed. You don't have to get off your couch. I'll write the album. When I'm in the studio and someone hasn't learned the songs that I fucking went out and wrote, someone can't even bother to learn the songs. It doesn't take a genius to think that we're probably not going to get on. You know, one of us needs the other one more than the other one needs the other person. And that's, you know, like parasites on a plant, you know. They're going to kill the host if the host doesn't go, get off. So, that's the reason. There was no real falling out. There's never really been a falling out. The Wildheart was never the sort of band that would talk very much, enough to air grievances. We kind of just kept everything to ourselves and just didn't speak for a while or something. Really, really bad way of doing things, to be honest. But no falling out, nothing like that. It was purely, we just grew to be different shapes. And good. I hope that whatever they're doing, and I genuinely mean this, whatever they're doing brings them happiness. Because them being involved in me didn't bring me happiness. And if it brought them happiness, it probably wasn't the right happiness because they weren't involved enough. They were just turning up. It's, not creative. I like creative. Dear Ginger writes, Nobuyuki. Hiya, Nobu. Ginger hasn't been to Japan since 2009. Are you sick of it? Many Japanese fans are waiting for Ginger. How could you get sick of Japan? It's impossible. Japan is a fantasy land. For anyone who comes from the West, Japan is the pinnacle of experience. even you don't have to play music. Just go there as a tourist and it'll change your life. But as a musician, the people in Japan are so gracious and they're so loyal. And they're so fucking loud. First time we went to Japan, everyone said, don't be thinking that it's going to be like playing anywhere in England or America. They sit down and they don't make any sound. So I was prepared for this. And we went on stage and everybody was standing up going fucking mental and they were really loud. And the great thing about Japan is they've got a different tone. So when you go on stage, it's really loud, but it's different than playing England or Britain or fucking whatever, you know. But yeah, I will never get sick of Japan. The truth is, COVID happened. I had a falling out with our record company. Someone ran on stage. I thought they were going to hit me. I hit them. And, you know, that if Keith Richards does it, it's seen as a fucking, yeah, he stood his ground. If I do it, it's seen as a fucking me being a cunt. But someone runs on your stage. They shouldn't be on the stage. If someone runs toward you on stage, you can tackle them or you can just wait to see if they're going to punch you first. I don't do that. Someone runs towards me and they look pissed off. I'm going to fucking try and drop them before they drop me because in my mind, things aren't going to... I'm not going to wait for them to run up to me to see if they want to cuddle me or fucking beat me face in. Anyway, that put a lot of people off booking me back in Japan. But I'm thinking, look, if standing my ground on a stage is going to stop me playing in Japan, then yeah, I will never ever play Japan again, it looks like. But I don't believe that that's true. I believe that people get all up in arms and dramatic about something, and then they just get up in arms and dramatic about someone else, and they forget about that. So I will be back in Japan as soon as this bullshit fucking clears the way. But I will say, don't get on someone else's stage unless you're paid to be on the fucking stage.